Today is the 31st of October. Every single 31st of October, we celebrate Halloween here in the UK. Now, our celebration is not as big as it is in North America and Canada, but we still celebrate it here. In this video, I'm going to show you some vocabulary for describing Halloween, what we do for Halloween in the UK as a child and as an adult, and also what Halloween is. So if any of those three interest you, then stick around until the end of this video. I'll also be doing a little vocabulary test at the end of the video, so if you want to test your knowledge on what you've learned throughout this video in terms of the vocabulary that I'm going to show you, then stick around right until the very end of the video for that little quiz. Before we get started, we're talking about Halloween and talking about some spooky vocabulary. Welcome back if you are a returning subscriber. If you're new here, then hello and welcome to my channel. I post videos every single Friday about pronunciation, British pronunciation I should say, and accent videos. I also talk about grammar, some aspects about culture here in the UK. So if all of that sounds like your cup of tea, consider hitting that subscribe button. So let's talk about what Halloween is first. What is Halloween? So in the UK, we basically celebrate Halloween on the evening of the 31st of October every single year. It is not a national holiday, so people and businesses still work and they're still going, nothing closes, it's just a normal day. But at night, or in the evening I should say, people start to come out. And if you are a child, what normally happens is you get dressed in a costume. I'll talk about some costumes and some vocabulary later on, but you'll get dressed up in a costume and you'll go around knocking on your neighbours' houses. You normally go with a parent, so don't worry, there aren't just children walking around the street. Sometimes there are, depends on the area, if it's a safe area or not, but they will go around, knock on people's doors, and they will say the phrase, trick or treat. This means that, well, essentially they're asking for, give me some sweets, or play a practical joke on me. 9 times out of 10, people will just give them some sweets. Candy is American, sweets is British, by the way. So they will give you some sweets, and then you just go off to the next house, trick or treat, and they'll give you some more sweets. Now, of course, sometimes houses and people do like to play tricks on these kids, and it's happened to me in the past when I was very young. They did some things that were very creepy, and we would just run away from the house because, you know, it would creep us out. I still remember one time, so I think, who was it? Oh my goodness, no, it was my own mother. She answered the door. So she used to have this wooden mask, and she used to answer the door on Halloween with this horrible, ugly wooden mask, and she would answer the door and there would be these little kids just standing there, trick or treat. My mom would have this mask on. It was terrifying. So yeah, I mean, she would still give them sweets and she would apologize for scaring them if she scared them a lot, but she normally checked, because if they were a very small child, she wouldn't do that. It tends to be like the older kids that she would have done that for. Now, when it comes to adults and what they do on Halloween, it's a little bit different. Adults would not go around to people's houses knocking and saying trick or treat. They would go to a party instead. So Halloween for adults doesn't necessarily happen on the 31st. We will probably wait until the weekend and then we can go out. So what we tend to do is we have either like Halloween parties at home, or maybe we go to a bar where there's a Halloween party and a Halloween theme, and that's how we celebrate. And again, we do get dressed up in costumes. I tend to find like the older you get, the kind of more revealing the clothing is. It has, unfortunately, or fortunately for some people, become this time of year where people just dress very provocatively. So they may go, instead of just a devil, they may go as a sexy devil, or as a witch, but instead of just a normal witch, they would go as a sexy witch. So you might see that a lot. So as I said, we normally get dressed up in costumes. So let's go through some vocabulary of some of the kinds of costumes you might see people wear on Halloween. You might see women dressed as a witch. So with a witch, you may also have a broom or a broomstick. If you are a man, you may go dressed as a wizard. Now, of course, many wizards, they have capes, so you may want to buy a cape as well. Another thing is a devil or an angel. Now be very careful with the spelling of angel, that you don't switch any letters round and accidentally write angle, okay? Devil and angel, they're very, very common ones actually, are these two. Another one is a ghost, so that H is silent. Ghost, ghost. Some people do ask, well, what about a phantom? You know, because it's maybe similar in their first language is phantom. We wouldn't really call these phantoms, we would call it a ghost. Another may be a goblin. You may go dressed as a goblin. This one is a ghoul. Ghoul. So the H is silent and the U, or the O, one of them is silent. And it's just an ooh sound there. Ghoul. This is quite similar to a zombie actually. So a zombie is also a common one. Careful that you're getting that Z sound in zombie and you're not saying anything like zombie or zombie or tombi, but Z, zombie. Now if you dress up as a zombie or maybe something else, you may need some fake blood. So that's quite common as well. You may also need some makeup. So you can normally buy this quite cheaply. They come in kind of packs for like £1 and you can put that on and you're a zombie. A really common one is the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper is the character, if you want to say, that comes out when a person dies and they take you away. The next one is just a monster. Maybe you're not any specific kind of monster, but you're just, in general, a monster. Now, if you are like a zombie, okay, so you've died, but you've risen from the dead, but you're also wrapped in bandages, we would call you a mummy. Mummy. This is exactly the same as like what a small child would call their mum. They would also call their mum mummy. Just happens to be the same word. Another one is a pumpkin. Pumpkin. This is normally something that maybe children may be dressed as, especially babies. You can get very, very cute outfits, which are like what we would call a jack-o'-lantern. So a jack-o'-lantern is when you take a pumpkin and you carve a face into it and then you put a little tea light, a little candle inside. So the light shines through the eyes and the mouth and the nose of the jack-o'-lantern. So that's a quite common costume as well, and it's also something that we do. We decorate our house with jack-o'-lanterns, we put them outside, and then we put the tea light inside, so it's glowing in the night, but do be careful with these, because if that tea light falls, it can catch on fire, and there have been many stories where, unfortunately, people have got seriously injured because of fires from jack-o'-lanterns. Another one is a skeleton. Skeleton. Or maybe a vampire. Now, if you want to go dressed as a vampire, you will probably need a cape, and you may also need some fangs. Fangs. Now, what some people like to do with their fancy dress is they like to change the colour of their eyes. So maybe they want to use red eyes, black eyes, green eyes, yellow eyes, whatever, just to look a little bit spookier. And we call these contact lenses. Contact lenses. Contact lenses. And the last one that I want to mention that people normally dress up as is a werewolf. 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 Now, besides getting all dressed up in your costume, not your disguise. Do not confuse disguise and costume. Costume and fancy dress mean pretty much the same thing, but disguise is different. Disguise is when you wear something in order to conceal your identity. A costume or fancy dress is for fun. It's an outfit that you wear, normally as a character or something, for fun. Disguise is when you want to hide your identity. For example, maybe you want to wear something to hide your identity so the paparazzi don't find you. Okay? In this case, you wear a disguise. You don't wear a costume or fancy dress. So besides getting all dressed up, you may want to decorate your house as well, which is what we also do in the UK. Now, we don't go crazy like I know some people do in the States and in Canada. A friend of mine showed me some really crazy pictures of what they do, especially in Canada. And I was so shocked because we do not go that crazy with decorations. We just put like a few jack-o'-lanterns around or a few pumpkins skeletons, maybe some like black and orange banners. I would say that like black and orange, and for some reason dark purple are like the main colors of Halloween, particularly black and orange though. So around your home, you may decorate it with some cobwebs or webs. The only difference between a cobweb and a web is that a cobweb is normally like the really big, dusty, old ones that you have in the corner of your room, while a web is a little bit cleaner, a little bit fresher, we could say. So a web is like an old, a cobweb is like an old web that's a little bit dusty. You may decorate your house with fake spiders, fake skeletons, fake dismembered body parts, like just things like this, to be honest. So yeah, nothing much more to say about that one. We also sometimes use bats around the house. So we do have this belief that vampires can turn into bats. So bats also may be found, not real ones of course, but like just little paper ones or like pictures or something like that of just the shape, like the outline of them, may be found around your house as decoration. It's just something that we use to represent Halloween. Now that we've looked at some vocabulary for Halloween, I'm going to give you 4 questions in this mini quiz. I'd like you to tell me down below what your answers are. I will also give the answers as we do the quiz, so you can check and play along. So the first question is, what is this? Is it a vampire, a cape, or a werewolf? A vampire, a cape, or a werewolf? It is a vampire. So remember, a vampire, we use the fangs. We normally buy like fake ones that you can stick in. I think you can also get ones that like stick to your teeth as well. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's a vampire. A werewolf is this, and a cape is something that you wear on the back. It's what vampires would wear, you know, the thing that's kind of flapping in the wind. That's the cape. Question number 2. Which of these things do we not usually decorate our house with in the UK when it's Halloween? Bats, cobwebs, or masks? Masks. We can wear them, but we don't normally use them as decoration. So we don't put masks around the house as decoration, but we can put fake cobwebs or bats around the house. Number 3, this is the tricky one. What do people normally put in their eyes to change the colour of them for Halloween? Contact lenses, contact eyes, or colour eyes? Contact lenses. We use contact lenses to change the colour of our eyes. Now of course you can get just normal contact lenses if your vision is not very good, but around Halloween, maybe other times of year for other things as well, other celebrations and festivals, we get very small coloured ones and we just put those in our eyes and it changes the colour of them basically. Final question, what do we call the kinds of clothes that we wear on Halloween? Because we don't wear normal clothes, yes? We may go as a character or something like that. What do we call these kinds of clothes? A disguise, a costume, or fancy dress? It is a little bit of a trick question because 2 of them are correct. So if you were torn between costume and fancy dress, you are right. Both of them are okay. Disguise is not something that we would use. You may use this in your language, but it is a false friend. We don't use disguise in this context. Remember that a disguise is something that you wear in order to hide your identity. If you're going to a party, you don't necessarily want to hide your identity. You're just dressing up for fun, okay? So if you want to hide from the paparazzi or something, you wear a disguise. If you're going to a party dressed as, I don't know, a witch, then that is a costume or fancy dress. So that's everything about Halloween. Do let me know what you got in the quiz down in the comments. So there were 4 questions. How many did you get right? Also, do tell me in the comments, do you celebrate Halloween as well? Because I'm quite curious. I know in some countries you do kind of celebrate Halloween, but you do it very, very differently to how we do it in the UK. So do let me know about that in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've learned something new. If you have, please give this video a thumbs up. It's just a nice free way to help me out. And if you haven't yet already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post every single Friday about pronunciation, culture, and so on. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, just hit that subscribe button. And I think that's it. Yes. I will see you next lesson. Have a lovely week. Bye bye. Now we've looked at some vocabulary.